Guys, we're back.
That's definitely not how I thought you were going to start the show today.
What do you think I was going to yell?
It's on.
It's on, guys.
Never stops me.
Quit fooling around.
It's on for the next 116 days.
For a second I thought Daniel lagged out. I was like, what?
Oh no!
Oh, what a start to the show.
You haven't lagged out in a while, Daniel.
I know.
That's good.
Crazy times. I had the similar thing with Alex.
Let's not talk about it.
A lot of phone calls.
It's not coming back. It's not coming back.
We're not going to say with which provider, but
I was going to ask, who is your internet provider? But
it's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Does it rhyme with Lels or Lel, or is it Trodgers?
Verizon.
What?
It's Verizon.
Is Verizon in Canada?
No.
Well, that's enough internet talk for that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Guys, here we are. Is it week 3 of the season? Is that where we are? Or is this week 2 only? I'm
week
so
2,
confused.
It is. What?
I don't know.
It's like in between the first week and the second week. Or are we entering the third week? Do we count training camp?
Today's Wednesday. I think we're entering the third week. It's been 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We've had a few teams that have temporarily, looks like their season has been suspended. Dallas obviously came out today. Carolina's in the same boat. Everyone who Carolina are going to play. So everyone who the Panthers are going to play seemed to just disappear. I saw a stat that they're going to have like 16 practices by the time they play another game.
They better look out. They better look spectacular.
I mean, Sergei Bobrovsky played his first game. Save percentage was below 900 in that game.
It's one game. It's
okay.
It's supposed to be
we believe in him.
Season, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In our preview, I have my boy Aaron Ekblad bouncing back to Alexander Barkov being the MVP he should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you about one Panther that's had a good start to the season. And I don't know if this was intentional or not to kick this guy out the butt, but Keith Yandle. There was a general thought around the league that the Panthers did not see him in their top 6, which is incredible because he had 40 points last year and currently has the leading Iron Man streak in the NHL. It's games played straight without injury, without missing a game, right?
Yeah.
And it looked like his streak was going to end, but then, of course, the Panthers started the season got messed up against because of Dallas getting shut down and all that. And all these reports started coming out, accusations about him being a bad teammate and that. And the players apparently in Florida got involved. He ends up playing. He scores in his first game. He has 3 points in 2 games, 2 hits. He's +2 penalty minutes. But I can't help but think, guys, that even if the Panthers, this wasn't their intention, this works out for them anyway because they've all of a sudden got Keith Yandle probably playing for what he can see as is his career right now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really curious at if he's not in their top 6. So Keith Yandle obviously plays on the left. Who do they have in front of him? Like that, I'm really curious about who they envision on their left side of the defense because obviously there's Mackenzie Weegar, who I think last year or the last couple of years, a lot of people have seen a lot of improvement from him.
Mm-hmm.
Gustav Forsling, Riley Stillman.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Who else is there really that they honestly think is better than Keith Yandle?
Another guy they claimed off waivers was Noah Juleson, but that guy has unfortunately, because of injury, the only games he's played over the past few years has been a handful of AHL games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing with the Panthers is I think they ended last year on a weird note because the battle for third of the Atlantic was so weird because it seemed like no one wanted that spot, including the Leafs and the Panthers, right? Who are the two teams pretty much at the time of stopping the season. Those were the two guys fighting for that spot.
Mm-hmm. Daniel, your thoughts on Keith Yandle? the reason I say his career he's fighting for here instead of just a lineup spot, because I think a lot of teams would be very interested in Keith Yandle, is just because of the weight that an Iron Man streak has to players. Us as fans don't really understand as much as players do how important it is. Like, because you can make about points, assists, and all that, but it seems it's really weird. It's the Iron Man streaks, Daniel, that players really, really respect.
Yeah, and it's weird to me that this relationship he's having with the Panthers is deteriorating because when you mentioned that Iron Man streak, it kind of generally assumes, this is a guy that's been able to kind of take things seriously with his health, with his consistency, and he's someone I envision as a Joel Quenneville type of guy, where Quenneville comes from that veteran laden defensive core that he had with Chicago, and he's someone I thought they would kind of keep around, someone that maybe could be that bit of veteran presence around that defense and around a lot of the young guys the Panthers have. So it's kind of weird to me that, this is something that is being brought up because he's a guy that, he's been on a few teams. He's been on those Ranger deep run teams. He's been on Arizona for quite some time. And this is the first time I'm hearing that, maybe we have a troublesome guy. Maybe we have someone that is not fitting our culture or fitting with what we want to have moving forward. But like you said, how they kind of finished their playoffs last year, how they're kind of set up now in terms of the depth outside of those core players, I actually don't know what their identity is.
It dates back to the trade deadline last season, where they got rid of Vincent Trocheck, and everyone talks about that there is the "it's easy here" mentality in Florida, and that's why they got rid of Trocheck. A disastrous move when you look at the asset side of it, because what happened to Eric Haula, and you gave away arguably a top 6 centerman, but it's just, I understand trying to maybe throw a jolt into the room, but intentionally, like, we can talk about the principle of the Iron Man streak if we really want to here. But the first thing I see with Keith Yandle is just, like, that's a defenseman I want. In a bad game, I mean, he's better than Riley Stillman. And you know what you have in him compared to a lot of these defensemen. Yeah. And obviously, because of his offensive thing, you don't want to play him with Ekblad because that would just scream turnovers to me. But I just don't. I think they're sacrificing. And again, they have not lost. They're 2-0. They should have played more games, obviously, but their opponents just keep getting COVID. But then it feels like you're sacrificing your ability to win every night for the sake of teaching a lesson. I mean, I don't get it from Florida, and I don't get it from Quenneville. And again, he's the coach. No one has more influence over line decisions than the head coach.
Right. Yeah, the whole decision seemed it didn't seem right because you've never heard ever about any issue with Keith Yandle, or I haven't at least. So to hear now all of a sudden that he might not be the best teammate comes as a huge surprise to, I think, a lot of people. And obviously, like Friedman brought it up in 31 Thoughts, that it doesn't seem like that's necessarily the case. It just seemed like that was something that kind of came out of nowhere. Like, why would you do? I don't know. I don't know why you would do this. To me, this whole situation doesn't make sense because I'm sorry, unless they have more they obviously have more information than us in terms of like data, etc. And we don't know what the locker room's like. But to say that he's not in your top 6, who are you replacing him with? Like, you have to have an answer. You can't just say, well, we're not playing Keith Yandle because I don't envision him in our top 6 long term. Well, yeah, he's 34, has 3 years left. Probably not a long-term guy with the team. But right now, you're telling me that he's not top 6?
Not to them. You know what? Every time I've ever heard an interview or something about Keith Yandle and players talking about him, it's always a smile on his face. They talk about just how funny a guy he is. And looking at their stuff on Daily Faceoff, their line combinations, right now Marcus Nunavara is injured. Did not know this. So it will be interesting to keep an eye on if Yandle will be coming out once Nudavara is healthy. And we also hope that maybe then there's some roster shenanigans and they have to waive Noah Jolson and he can come back to Montreal. We can hope. We can hope and hope. But yeah, Riley Stillman at this point of his career, I'll take Keith Yandle over both those guys anytime. Anything else you guys want to add?
Just to bring up something. You talked about the importance of an Iron Man streak to the players. Like, remember Andrew Cogliano last year when he got suspended, or I guess 2 seasons ago now, he got suspended and he was devastated. I think he had 830 game Iron Man streak, which was 4th in NHL history. So and he was devastated. I remember seeing the interview after the suspension was announced, and he was in tears, almost practically in tears. So I think it does mean something to a player. I feel like it's really difficult for people who haven't played in the NHL to understand what this Iron Man streak really means.
Mm-hmm. Daniel.
I think, there's 2 things there where, Keith Yandle is a veteran guy that he really does value that Iron Man streak, that it's kind of something where it just, when I heard about it and I heard about the possibility that they're just going to take him out of the lineup because it's just not working, it felt like it hit him where it hurts. And that's a big thing for him. Keith Yandle, I remember hearing about, he could have been a captain on Arizona if Shane Doan didn't play as long as he did. This is the Daniel Chara Patrice Bergeron situation. But how I kind of see it too is this whole drama thing just doesn't fit the narrative of what Florida's trying to do this season. And it's to finally be a consistent playoff team, because I'm not saying that they've been a huge joke these last few years, but there's been an abundance of draft picks. There's been an abundance of, let's get these veteran guys, then let's trade them off. And, Vincent Trocheck was another example of that, where they have to kind of get out of that pattern. They have to say, we have this established system now, we have this roster, and we have to do something about it. Let's find consistency now. Let's not just go back and say, all right, well, let's just start over again in the offseason, because in 2 years, you're going to have to pay Jonathan Huberdeau and Alex Barkov. Would they want to commit long-term with a team that just doesn't really know what their identity is?
I can only imagine their thought process. Year after year, there's barely any fans in our arena. We're throwing all the money at these free agents, and it's not working. We're the hipster pick every year. Who's going to surprise Florida? And they just keep on falling on their faces to the Panthers. And
yeah.
I want them to be good. Listen, do I rather than be in Quebec City, obviously, but I never want to see the active just failure of a franchise.
No.
And you'd like to obviously grow the game in the States, and it's so frustrating. I don't give a damn about location. When you see Tampa and just how wicked an organization it is and how awesome their arena is, and then you go to the Panthers and it's like, oh wow, it's just one of those teams that there's nothing there.
I still don't understand the Vincent Trocheck trade. I remember the minute it happened. I'm pretty sure we were about to meet up to go to class. Mm-hmm. And I look at my phone and it says Vincent Trocheck has been traded to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yep.
Why?
Isn't this like a cap move or something?
They didn't even get the whole thing was, we need to get a partner for Aaron Ekblad. That was their thing for years. Mm-hmm. For the last couple years. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, there were rumors about Vincent Trocheck and, bringing in a defenseman back. They didn't even do that. You're right. Daniel's right. It was a cap, because the rumor is the owner wanted them to slash salaries by $10 million.
Which is just happens to be what Sergei Bobrovsky made. There was also the idea that it's too easy to play there, that maybe guys are complacent. And then, that's the thing people say about when you go on the road in Florida, you're going to go here, you're going to go there, you're chilling on the, it's stuff like that. I don't know.
Isn't there a difference between going to Florida a couple times a year and living in Florida for the full year? Like there is a difference. I fully understand. I fully get that idea, and you know what? It might be a possibility, but like I always hear this thing some people say about LA. It's like it's great to go visit LA every once in a while, but to live in LA is a completely different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Heard that about Miami as well, with the Miami Heat, that players going in, like they got to be taken seriously. Like they apparently LeBron and Dwayne Wade help change that narrative there.
Yeah. I imagine.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Love basketball.
Do you finish The Last Dance?
I'm on the last episode.
Wow.
I'm on the last
You're
episode.
on the last dance of the last dance.
I was gonna make that joke.
Yeah.
I was gonna make that joke. Daniel beat me to it.
Yeah, sure. Guys, I think now we should. There's an announcement to make, isn't there?
Oh, there is.
There is.
Daniel, we know where you're going to be this semester.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now we should play a video.
The rumors are true.
The rumors are true. Are we just going to insert it?
Can
or,
you
oh,
see
no,
it?
we've got
No.
it. Okay.
We got it.
I don't know how loud it's gonna be here, so I'll put it about halfway.
Mm-hmm.
You let me know.
All right.
We cannot hear it.
I cannot hear
Oh,
you.
because I didn't share audio. That would be.
That's awkward.
That would be good, right, guys?
Mhm.
For our YouTube viewers, we have a video from our friend of the show, Will Baldwin.
Okay, we're gonna play it again.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is as loud as I can play it.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is Will Baldwin, the sports editor over at The Eye Opener, here to confirm two things. One, Daniel Centeno is back as a writer for us this semester, and two, Carey Price is still the best goaltender in the world.
Amazing.
There it is.
First off, yeah, Daniel's. We teased at the end of every episode. Where's
For the
Daniel
last 3
going?
months.
And we thought, like, let's get Will on to do something. So we asked him for a cheeky little video. First off, he looks like Brendan Gallagher. I've realized. I'm gonna message him later, and we'd be like, "Man, you look like." And second of all,
He'll love that.
we did not ask him to do anything to do with Carey Price. He did that on his own.
Yeah.
And I have to say that is the best take. He's absolutely correct. And I love Will. He's the best.
He's a great guy. I'm happy to be back with the Eye Opener. It's fun writing for them. You know, I coming from the Riconian, that was like a different experience. I had fun there, but going back to just being a reporter for now, it's gonna be an interesting thing. And I've worked with Will before in the past, and yeah, awesome guy. Loves sports. And you know, how often can you have a publication where two sports editors are working together?
So, yeah, 'cause
Well,
you
former
were
sports
on the
editor.
Yeah.
No power struggle, Daniel.
No power struggle. I've relented to Will.
As we have always said, and we're not backtracking.
Yes.
The Eye Opener rules, the Ryerson rules.
Oh,
Unless
Did
that
we
have
say
the
the
chance to
opposite
work there,
ever?
we greatly appreciate it.
yes. I think that's the theme of the day: transfer of power.
That was really good. That was really, really good. Oh my god, that was brilliant. That was
I guess
really
what else happened
good.
today, guys?
That was really good.
That was A+ for that
If you're
one.
wondering when we're recording this, Biden got sworn into.
That was phenomenal.
Oh, that was real.
You slid that in there.
No, yeah, that's that. Oh man! All right, let's get going here. We got a few games on the NHL docket tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
A few.
And we care about two. God, I have a headache after that. That was really good. God, I don't think I've ever laughed that much on the show before. Okay, we'll start with the Leafs here. They come off a fantastic win over the Jets. And the docket had this is the first Leafs win in quotations of the season. Obviously, they've won a few games already, but this is the first game where we really got to see the Leafs really rolling four wheels on the road here, if you know what I mean here.
Yeah.
A great performance. Everyone, and obviously Austin Matthews in the best shape of his life.
Still couldn't score. Still couldn't score.
But
He had some
you know what? The
great
top
rushes.
line.
Well,
the
it's
top line
it's
is
the
getting-
it's the puck. It's the puck. Okay,
Yeah.
Austin. Okay.
the goal scorers. Oh man, Bobby Ryan's scoring with him pretty well, isn't he?
I know.
Watch
Thomas
now. Bobby
Tatar.
Ryan's not going to score as well because they changed the pucks.
Oh,
But you know
no.
that Leafs top line is looking better every game.
It is. It is.
Mhm.
You're right. It is their first Leafs win of the season because I think I said last episode that I didn't think they looked like the better team in any of their games so far. And I mean, I'm still going to go with that one, but that game against Winnipeg was for sure. They did look like the better team. I don't care if Patrick Laine and Tucker Pullman weren't in that game. Okay. They still would have won the game if they were in that game. I think who was it? Jesse Pollock from Bar Down
Yes.
said that if Laine was in that game, the Jets would have won. You're wrong. If that's what makes you sleep better at night, go right ahead.
But we love
Say
you,
that
Jesse.
want.
We love Bar Down.
Listen,
Yeah, for
Laine
sure.
is a fantastic player, but Patrick Laine is not the difference from getting one shot in a period. What was it? There was that stretch of how many minutes for the Jets only managed one shot on net.
Yeah.
I mean, their
that's-
defense is pretty bland.
Josh Morrissey and
But it-
friends. I'm gonna say
like-
that again.
Yeah, well, Morrissey's been all right defensively, but like Laine
Mm-hmm.
is, and again, so is Laine. He's worked on his complete game. We saw that last year.
Yeah.
But defensively, I don't think Patrick Laine is a difference maker in the game versus the Leafs on the defensive side of the game. Let me make that very, very clear.
Did they not have Dylan DeMello?
Yeah. I don't think they had Dylan Mello.
Yeah.
Either. They are like they're
Pretty thin.
obviously Julius Honka went on waivers today for Dallas, and people were talking about the Jets picking him up, and then Dreger ended up tweeting saying, I mean, yeah, the Jets could pick him up, but he'd have to quarantine for 14 days because he's crossing the border, and that'd be 6 Jets games. It's like, what
Mhm.
good is that going to do? Like, eventually it'll be good, but like, is it really worth it?
I mean, for the sake of just getting Julius Honka out of Dallas, I'd do it. Like,
I
poor
guess,
guy.
yeah. No, for the sake of that, for sure. But I guess the Leafs, it was like, I think everyone was rolling. I think after the first game against the Senators, TJ Brody he's only played 4 games, but that was by far his worst performance as a Leafs in that first Ottawa game. And it's just been going up and up. Like that next Ottawa game, he was really good. Even against the Jets, he was really good. Like, I don't think the Leaf fans are actually ready for what TJ Brody is, because it's an actual partner for Morgan Riley.
We're just not used to it. We're gonna be like, what is this? Is this real life? You know the thing with the butterfly?
Yeah.
Like the butterfly
Yeah,
effect
the
of,
meme.
like,
No, the meme
Oh, yes,
Oh,
yes.
the
saying is like,
one
is
where-
this a real defensive partner for Morgan Riley?
yeah, okay.
And
One question I just
yeah.
have, if I go,
go.
Alex, how do you feel about Neil Pionk?
Get out of here. Bud's guy's trash. That's what I was saying at the
Is he
time. I don't
public enemy number
listen,
one?
I don't think he's actually trash. You have to understand. Okay, my thing is, if you're in sport media, you're a sports fan. Like, that's just what it is. You probably started by following a team and it grew. So those like 3 hours when the Leafs are on, screw Ottawa, screw Montreal, screw Edmonton, screw Vancouver, screw everybody. Like, it's just that mentality. When I'm on the podcast, it's a different mentality. So at the time, Daniel, yes, it was Neil Pionk, your trash bud.
Now,
To quote a famous sweater by Peace Collective,
the 5, oh, okay, sorry.
Toronto versus everybody.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I believe it was like this. Because right as the game was ending, Montreal had started, so I had flipped over. But so empty net opportunity. Mitch Marner, I believe, has the puck, and
Yeah.
Neil Pionk goes after him. And at this point, the Jets have basically lost the game. And I was listening to Hockey Central, the episode for yesterday, I think earlier today. And from what I understand, and you guys can obviously correct me here, is yeah, the game was over, obviously. but apparently Mitch was in a position where he was eligible to be hit. But man, do you need to do that? Especially like at the end of the day, like if you're, I think Anthony Stewart made the point of if you're Neil Pionk, you don't want the next day to be on video of you had the chance to go after this guy and you didn't. At the same time, though, they've already sort of embarrassed you a bit here. What are you thinking?
You know, you're right. It was definitely not. I don't necessarily think it was the right thing, but again, what do I know? From a Leafs perspective, though, I think that was by far the game where I actually saw them care the most.
Mhm.
Like not play the most consistent, but actually care. When I don't remember who it was, someone ran into Freddie. I can't remember what player it was. Muzzin was just beside him. Muzzin ended up falling over to the side, but Hall came in after and was roughing the guy up. Obviously, he got a 2-minute minor as well, so it only ended up being 4-on-4. But like that's what I want to see. Like how many times have I said on this show that Freddie gets hit or Freddie gets bumped or this, and we just sit there, or Matthews, let's say, and no one does anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think we are seeing either, I don't know if it's the Wayne Simmons, the Joe Thornton, we're seeing some type of effect, because even after the Marner shot, Tavares comes in and gets a little shovey after
I love
Scheifele comes
that.
in, right? Like stick up for your teammates, stick up for yourselves. And I think we're starting to see that from different guys. And I think that's what the first step for this team is. And if they can continue that
Mhm.
over next games.
I just like to know, was it ever confirmed what Marner said?
No,
Neil
but I
Pionk.
really want to know.
Yeah, same here.
Because like
Think about that.
how vulgar can Marner be? Guy, he still looks like he's like 16.
But again, yeah, I love the Tavares. He comes in, helps Marner, starts shoving, has some words with Mark Scheifele, where, when it's not a Jets Leafs game, we love Mark Scheifele, but, it's something that you really want to see, that changed culture.
It's exactly you maybe Leafs teams in the past will not react to that a way you were like, they would just let the incident occur. And the difference between situations like this and the playoffs will be if you respond, right? And I'm not saying you never go for the cheap shot, obviously, but when you stand up for yourself and your teammates and you all of a sudden show that we're not going to be pushed around, it makes a world of difference. And that is what the Leafs have been missing. And this is why you've mentioned the Simmons and the Thornton signings are so integral for the Leafs.
And Bogosian,
Zach Bogosian,
When he's not
of
taking
course.
penalties.
When he's not taking penalties, but I thought I'd
Never
have to throw
forget.
that name in there.
But
I think that's
Zach Bogosian as well.
the big change that I see here, and I'm really loving it. I know it's really early in the season, but I love it that you have guys that are gonna hold other teams accountable in that sense, but it doesn't mean you have to roll out a Fraser McLaren, a Colton Orr, a Matt Martin to get that. You could get guys that can skate. You could get guys that could play.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Chip in offensively. I think that's what's been the big change for me this year.
And by no means am I saying take that penalty that Justin Hall took. I don't think that was the right thing to do to get to the point where you're saying, hey, we have the opportunity for a power play, but I'm going to take this roughing penalty. But I think the intention of standing up for your goalie when no one has done that in the past since he got here, I think the intention was right.
Mm-hmm. It's better than just seeing Spezza step up, which is what we've seen in the past.
Right.
You need everyone. You
God, yeah.
never ever let your goalie get pushed around.
No.
That's like if I was a coach, that's the first thing I would teach my guys is anyone touches that blue thing of ice, you give them hell.
Yeah.
So we look at what the Leafs have to go up against tonight, the Edmonton Oilers. And it has not been a great start for the Edmonton Oilers. They won the second of their games against the Canucks. But
that's another story, the Canucks.
We're getting to them later. Don't worry. The Oilers in their past two games have gone 0 for 10 on the power play. And in the last two games, McDavid and Draisaitl have been limited to an assist between them. And what I'm worried about, and I was worried about this every single second of the Montreal game, is the moment like McDavid sort of gets a bit too pissed off, he can snap. And you know what? That's sort of I'm taking over the game mentality that star players have. On the
Right.
other side of this, we're going to be looking for Tyson Barrie because he was leading the stretch today. It's his return game. I don't think he's a right to be mad because his performance was his own fault. Let's be honest, even when Keefe took over. But if there's anything for Toronto tonight, it is really, I mean, they're a deep team. And the Oilers is like, listen, if the Canadians can give the Oilers trouble with your most elite talent being like Nick Suzuki, I think the Leafs should be fine as long as because the Oilers power play is going to strike eventually. McDavid is going to strike eventually. As long as they use their depth and stay out the box, I'm pretty sure the Leafs are going to be fine tonight.
If the same Leafs that played Winnipeg show up to play the Oilers tonight, I don't think there's going to be an issue.
And do you know what, Alex? That's a big question for the Leafs, is because if there's one question that you would have, it is their consistency.
Right.
And do you know what? They can prove they can make a real statement tonight if they come out and have another strong game.
Sure. Yeah.
It's going to open a lot of people's eyes to that team.
I mean, I talked about it last episode. Like, you can't come into game 2 of a 56 game season and just absolutely throw a game or look like the way they did. Like, there's no excuse for that. I think they need and maybe it's not just the Leafs. I think maybe a lot of teams might be forgetting this, but every game is a 4-point game.
Mm-hmm.
Every game. You're only playing your division. So every single game is just as important as the next.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just you getting those extra points, but it's you kicking down the opposition even more.
Right.
And the Oilers, I don't think there is a team that feels more down right now than the Edmonton Oilers.
Because nothing's changed.
No, I know it has not.
No, you're
It really
absolutely
has
right.
not.
Like, I think we had this mentality that when Ken Holland came in, look at what he did with the Red Wings for how many years. And, they made the playoffs, they made deep runs, he's going to do the same things for the Oilers. Maybe it's not going to be as easy as we thought it was going to be. Like, I don't think it's just plugging pieces in there. I'll never understand why Josh Archibald is still playing on the first line. Like, it's one thing that's never going to escape me. Why is Josh Archibald playing on the first line?
I mean, they've had
He's buddies
Hopkins
with
up there. Sorry,
Connor
go ahead,
McDavid.
Dave.
He's buddies with Connor McDavid. I don't know. That's all I can think of.
He's got a
Does
cool name.
he give him a +1 on the lines? when
On
they
the
put him there?
chemistry?
Yeah.
Instead of a 79, he's an 80 overall. But like Nugent Hopkins has been up there. I mean, I liked the Turris deal, but that was going to be good for the penalty kill. There's still no support for secondary scoring. There is none there. And I mean, their goaltending is still a massive issue.
And they don't have the defense to kind of,
Here, you're absolutely right. And it, maybe I'm thinking of this the wrong way, but I think it's bizarre to say that Edmonton took multiple steps forward because all they did was fix one issue. Maybe they fixed one issue. I guess we'll find out at the end of the season. Like, I think the Turris and Dominic Cahoon signings can turn out to be really good for them because Turris just bought out from Nashville, has something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Cahoon, I think, was in Buffalo and Pittsburgh. He had an okay season. Like, again, maybe something to prove for his next contract.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Their defense, Tyson, if they brought in Tyson Barrie and ended up losing Oscar Klefbom to an injury for the entire season, that one, I guess, isn't necessarily their fault. But if that's the possibility, like going into free agency, I think there was a rumor that Klefbom could be out for the entire season.
Yes.
Why don't you go address that need, even if he's not out for the entire season? Isn't it better to have a really good defenseman who can play defense?
But then you ask the question, would they have bothered to come to Edmonton? If
Probably
anyone asked
not.
them? Which is
Like go listen to the Harmon Dial episode where we talked about Jacob Markstrom.
Mhm.
Like why? How? You have the best player in the world. I don't understand.
Speaking of Harbin Dial, he had a really, really good article talking about the Canucks slump, to be honest with you. And we can talk about that in a second. We'll preview the Canucks and the Canadiens. They play tonight, first of a 3-game series. But before that, anything else you guys want to talk about when it comes to the Leafs, the Oilers, expectations for the game and all that?
Before we move on,
Mhm.
it's not in the doc. I don't know if you want to talk about it. Can we talk about the Mike Babcock article?
I think we should talk about the Mike Babcock.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Pierre LeBrun, the Athletic.
Okay. I don't like to crap on other journalists because I know, like, even just being in school, I know how difficult it is writing an article. Like, it's not just sit down and put the right words in the right order. It's not that, right?
Mhm.
That's difficult to do. It's not that easy. I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
Really?
Yeah, I felt the same way too.
Because I think it's not necessarily LeBrun's fault. I don't necessarily think it's entirely on him because he is quoting Mike Babcock.
Mhm.
But the way Mike Babcock was talking, and it made it seem like he was the victim here.
Oh, like what was it?
The Franzen stuff. If you go read the Franzen stuff, even the way he put the Marner
Yeah.
stuff out there, which apparently there's so many conflicting things, especially with the Marner stuff, that it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's true, it's not true, it's true, it's not true.
So, for people who don't know, Pierre LeBrun of TSN, great guy, and also one of the best people at The Athletic, has just done an article. He released it yesterday, I believe it was. First time Babcock has spoken since being let go by the Leafs. He talks about how he's coming to NBC. He talks about the Marner list. And yeah, he talks about Franzen and his time in Detroit. And remember, that was the whole thing of like how he was like, Franzen was his whipping boy and all that. And yeah, he's like, oh, I wish, finally do the voice there. You can't just talk normally when you're Babcock. Yeah, just going on about like, oh, I didn't know he, felt that way. I wish I would have known and would have made it. There was no sort of
Accountability? Yes.
I'd say, with it. And how he talks about what I hated, now that you're bringing it up, Alex, was how he's like, I was surprised to hear that. And he's like, with all the work I do with mental health, I'm like, no, you did not just pull that card.
Yeah, that's the one thing. And I'm not quoting myself, but I'm quoting a lot of what the comments were following that article with Pierre LeBrun. And a lot of people did agree with each other, I guess, it felt like a PR piece. It didn't feel like that deep dive that I think a lot of us were waiting for about what were your thoughts. And I think, and this is just what I kind of think, that if it wasn't for that NBC position right now where, you're going to have to balance out the employment, you have to balance out the opinions of things. I think maybe we'd have had a deeper dive with this if we had a Mike Babcock that wanted to go on the record maybe 5 months ago.
I wonder if Pierre had maybe tried to talent, because obviously there's stuff that was said that was not in there.
Yeah, we don't know the questions either.
I wonder, or like what Mike agreed to, because obviously the moment Pierre hears, I get the chance to talk to Mike, no matter what is said, he's going to get all the clicks in the world. And I am in no way, shape, or form saying that Pierre LeBrun is going for clickbait here. He's like one of my favorite members of the media. But you get, like, I wonder what there was, like, because Babcock, as we have seen, is very good at deflecting questions. Like,
Yeah.
he's got the what's the famous one? Like, what do you talk about? The power play was bad. Don't know about those hot dogs in the BMO field. Pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
Italian sausage.
You know what's one part I laughed at and I thought about Alex?
Why?
When the whole Mitch Marner situation, and he's like, I knew I made a mistake, so I went to Lou Lamoriello and Mark Hunter.
Oh, okay.
yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Nice choice. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Yeah, that's where you go. Oh, those were the days. Not really, but here's the thing. The way it was the way Mike Babcock positioned himself. I think it's definitely a reality that sometimes you do things that you don't necessarily know how they affect other people. I think it's just a reality of living life. It's just the way it is. But the way it was positioned in the article, maybe the way Babcock positioned it, is that he was a full-on victim. You're Daniel. I remember if it was you, Adam, or Daniel said it. Accountability. I think it was both of you who actually said it, but it didn't feel like he was taking accountability. He was kind of saying, yeah, I did something wrong, but, and then and it felt like he was kind of trying to push the blame somewhere else, or trying to say, well,
when he was going on about the Marner stuff, and he's like, well, I didn't get a list. I just talked to Bozak, I think. And it was like, well, Mitch kind of thinks this. Like, okay, you did do the list, but you still told Bozak.
okay, so the same idea.
He's a work hard.
Right. So the
What
idea
you
is still
doing?
there. It didn't go exactly maybe how it was positioned. Okay. But
Oh, God. What's he
the
doing?
general idea.
I know it's like a time. It's it's about being timely with things, but in my opinion, I think two things: that this would have been nice as a full-fledged feature, and second, I
That was
wish they added.
that was Daniel, the editor, speaking right there.
Yeah,
okay?
and I think the second part, because I want a bit more weight to this. Second
Yeah.
is I wanted, I don't know, a thoughts on Cal Dubas part.
Oh,
I'd be interested in hearing that, because I think they did collide more often than we think.
Because there's no way that was not in the interview.
well, again, remember, I will never forget when Babcock was line matching in OT and it cuts to Dubas, and I can't read lips, but he had the same reaction visibly that we all have. Like, what are you doing?
Because I'm thinking, who did he play? You're right. It was against Columbus. It wasn't last year. It was obviously a
Yeah,
couple of years ago.
but it was just like, what's
What are you
going through
doing?
your mind right now?
And even day one, I remember Muzzin got traded. I think we even talked about it on the podcast.
Mhm.
Dubas trades for Muzzin Muzzin and maybe
Grunstrom,
it was
Jersey.
Grunstrom, Dursey, a first,
Tobias Bjornfoot.
who turned out to be
Yeah.
Tobias Bjornfoot. And Mike Babcock's first notable thing he says is, well, he doesn't play on the right.
Yeah, it's like,
Huh?
we'll make it work, but it's not what I really want.
He's the best defenseman, like the best defenseman who can play defense on this team.
Yeah,
No
best all
question.
around.
Best all around. You're right. Absolutely.
The Fulton Sheen of this team.
Exactly, the Fulton Reed recipient of the Toronto.
Fulton Reed. Sorry, Fulton Sheen is a Catholic priest. My
Oh.
apologies for that.
Okay,
Was a Catholic priest.
okay.
Yes, Fulton Reed.
I heard Fulton. I'm like, that's our award.
Fulton. hmm
All right. Shall we move on though?
Yeah, but again, we love Pierre LeBrun. It's just
yes.
maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're so hyped up about of a movie trailer, and then when you finally see things, like your expectations are sky high, and that's what I had.
The best parts were in the trailer. Yeah, it was. But still, I mean, it's still. Everyone should go check out the read. It's interesting. Nonetheless, you're gonna enjoy reading it. The Athletic, Sport Writers. The Athletic's just a new standard in sports journalism. Steve Dangle and that are on there now, aren't they? On part of their network.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, another podcast is full of ads because they're selling. I'm joking. I'm not calling that level. I wish I was them. Yeah, I thought, God, they're great. I love Steve.
They are.
They had a great episode with Digit Murphy. She's hilarious, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, talked about it earlier. The Canucks, they won their opening game against the Oilers. They have not won since. Every single game they've lost has been by 3 goals. The power play has not been great. Pedersen has not looked right. They have been letting in, their defense has not looked great. Again, Harman Dial has this great breakdown and how concerned you should actually be about all these main reasons the Canucks are off to a kind of flimsy start on the Athletic. Again, we can call him friend of the show. He's
Friend
been
of
on
the
a few
show.
times.
He's been
we were
here
going to
twice.
ask him if he actually was, but then he cut out as he was saying goodbye. So we couldn't do it. But We love him. We love him. We love him. We laughed about the Sens together. That's a bond, there, right?
Yes, don't worry. It's a chance to have him on again, so we asked him to be a friend.
It's
Yeah,
a bond. It's a bond.
But right now, the Canucks are really going against a team that if the Canucks have been on a losing streak, the Canadians have been on a hot streak right now. They come off a game when they kill 7 penalties versus. Oh God! Stop taking penalties! God damn it! 7 penalties killed against the Edmonton Oilers. Another game when they score a power play goal. Everything is going right for the Canadians right now, and I wonder what do the Canucks have to do right now to try and get a win tonight, because it can happen. I mean, Pettersson at any time has not looked right, but he can always snap it back into shape. Same with Quinn Hughes and Brock Besser.
Yeah, I mean, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Daniel. I thought you were
Oh no, go ahead.
okay. Yeah, like they've been they haven't looked right. I think you're right. Like I think that's the story of the Vancouver Canucks so far, is that they haven't looked right. They did lose pieces. Like I think we forgot about that. Markstrom, Tanev, those two guys were for the last how many years have been. I know Tanev with injuries, but still he's an important part of the team. Obviously Toffoli for the back half of last year in that playoff run, now in Montreal. Like they're struggling here. Like, yeah, you're right. Pettersson's gonna step up eventually. Right? Like this isn't, it's not like he's a bust. It's not like he just went away. Like remember, I don't know if it's this season or next season. The guy's gonna get paid, right? So the guy, if he knows this, that's not he knows what's about to come.
He is up actually. If I can find his name, he is an RFA at the end of this season.
Oh, fun times.
At the same time, yes, as our good friend Quentin Hughes.
Fun
Quentin
times
Hughes.
for them.
Daniel.
Yeah, what I kind of felt too was that loss of synergy they had, that momentum they had in the playoffs, that it's just not there. What I've been watching them, especially against Calgary, and it's so sad seeing them play against Jakob Markstrom and just struggle like that, it's a 2-line team where they've lost so much depth. To be honest, they lost a lot of leadership from that team. Like, I've always been a Chris Tanev fan. I've always been a Jakob Markstrom fan. And I think these are the guys that I personally would want to have around to a young captain like Bo Horvat, where I'm not going to see that now with Jay Beagle or Anton Roussel, where they have the talent, the top end talent to keep getting better. But I think right now it's a bit of a misstep. They really kind of mismanaged that offseason, and we didn't know to what degree it was going to be like, but we're seeing the results now where, these slumps are not going to happen. They're going to have the big games from the young talent, but to sustain this in a shortened season, I don't see them making the playoffs. And I know it's only 4 games in.
Just to speak on something, they're missing JT Miller. He hasn't played, which shows how important to the team he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think he may be back though, because I think they were.
Is he back?
They were trying all their things to get him around quarantine.
They were, yeah. Let's see. I'll
I'm just
find
going
out.
to try and double check, because it's going to be great if he's back tonight. Nice time for you to come back, Mr. Miller.
One thing to comment on with that is, I'm still surprised. Like, I know he's always been a great player.
Yeah.
But the way he broke out, and just to think like he was a depth piece on Tampa.
Oh, that trade at the time was like, what are you doing,
Vancouver?
Yeah.
It was bizarre. I remember at the time, I think I criticized them for making that trade, because the year before, I mean, I think Pettersson had just had a breakout season, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn Hughes had played the last, I think, few games for the team. But other than that, like, Markstrom was still good, but it's like there wasn't much there.
JT Miller, by the way, he came back last game, had an assist
okay.
in it, even rating. But so then, like, talking about him, by the way, how many points do you guys think he had last year? I didn't know he was this good. last season.
71.
He was almost a point per game.
Daniel says 71. What do you say, Alex?
I'll say 65.
In 69 games played, he had 72 points.
Wow.
I did not know he was above point per game. 27
God.
goals. What happened there? Playing with Pedersen probably helped,
Holy.
doesn't it, lads?
Yeah.
Though, hey, maybe another game in, because obviously that would have been his first game. Like,
Right.
a few of these guys they're going to be, he's still sort of shaking off the rust. And maybe he'll help Pedersen sort of wake up. The other side of this matchup, though, is the Montreal Canadiens.
They're rolling.
Congratulations to Alexander Romanov. His agent apparently has come out and said it's Romanov, not Romanov. God damn it! But congratulations,
Romanov?
Alexander Romanov.
Yaroslav
From-
Askarov.
Yeah,
Listen, I'll tell you why.
I've been saying all the names wrong.
I'll tell you why I've been pronouncing it Romanov, because in history class,
Yes, I was
when
gonna
we
say that.
learned about the Russian Empire, Romanov, there must be a relation. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Probably not, but maybe.
Listen,
Never know.
everyone was calling him Romanov, and no one pointed it out till now. I'm
Romanov.
so mad. I think in my HFR I called him Romanov and Romanov. So
This is gonna be one of those things we're gonna have to practice.
We're gonna have to think about during our voice practices.
Preliminary.
Yes.
Romanov.
Exactly. Though the Canadians, I mean, I compared them to this matchup was going to be a lot like the one against the Oilers. They are the deeper team here, and I mean, they're flying high. The one criticism you can really have is towards the end of the games that they're leading, they need to have their foot on the gas a bit more, because there's been back-to-back games now where they've kind of screwed the shutout for their goalie. Like Petrie making a pretty silly pass, Druin turns it over on the power play. But again, this is a Canadian team that as long as they can continue the pressure, and again, like the Canucks in their own zone, like Hughes is amazing, but the rest of their defense is still kind of questionable. And if you can sort of put the pressure on their zone and get lots of shots away, which we know is Montreal's game, they have a very strong chance of pulling out a W tonight.
I think they have an extremely strong chance to pull off the W. I don't really think there's not a whole lot necessarily in their way, because you're right. I think they have more depth than the Canucks. Obviously we saw they had some struggles in terms of contracts, and Vancouver may have some undesirable contracts at the bottom of their lineup. No names to be named. But I think if Montreal can use that depth to their advantage, I really think that's what's going to take them over the edge.
I agree. Like the amount of depth Montreal has, and I think we've talked about it, like they come after wave on you, and that's going to hurt Vancouver when they don't have their top two lines going. I know they have Jake Virtanen right now listed on the third line, but he just is a guy too that is coming in cold this year, that sometimes to see that effectiveness that he has on the team, it takes a bit of time, and it's just not there for them. I think Vancouver is going to really struggle when they have to start thinking about rolling out number 3 and number 4. In terms of their defense, what I've said before, the word is like synergy, that they just don't have it. I think Travis Halmonick is still adjusting, because this guy, like I always forget, he didn't play for a really long time.
He opted out of the playoffs, did he not?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
That he's a guy that he's expected to, hypothetically take on Chris Tatum's minutes, but that's going to be another thing where the depth wasn't really there anyways, and it's just going to affect him. Or I'm just slightly concerned about it, but Oli Olievi, where I don't know, it's just not there for me right now. And when I think about that team, it's just, a lot of promise, but given what Montreal has, where they're a team where, they've had that narrative before in terms of what is the promise, what are we going to have, I think the stability is just going to get them over the edge, that the wave after wave.
Attack the right side. attack the right side of their defense for me. Like Tyler Myers, I don't know how many Canadians are slower than Tyler Myers, but I don't think it's a lot. Like he scored the other night, but if anything, like the Canadian speed, they should just be able to, like the moment, like Nate Schmidt is, I know he's a great skater, but in his own net, in his own end of the ice, he's not as good as a guy like Tanev either. So listen, and we're not totally counting out the Canucks here, because again,
No.
Elias Pettersson, there was a reason people were talking about him winning the MVP this year. People saying he's better than McDavid.
Okay,
Shut up.
not
Calm
yet.
down.
He's not Nathan McKinnon. He's not in that conversation.
Do you see what McKinnon said about Danault earlier?
I
Yeah.
did see. I think
Yeah,
did someone retweet it on the account?
It
or
was
no?
not me. So wait, which one of you? Wait, it was not me.
What?
I barely use the show account.
I know.
Every time I do, because Mike calls me out because he realizes it's me. But it was, I don't know which one of you did it, but it was the thing of the Danault from Chicago trade for Montreal, and how I bring it up every episode.
that wasn't me.
Yeah.
I haven't been tweeting sometime. It must be Alex.
That was not me. It was obviously Daniel.
Hold on, let me find the exact quote up here, because you're damn right I'm going to bring this up. You know I am. Okay, so this is, why are you talking to me about Matt? I don't care about Matt Calvert. Where is this quote? Why can't I find it now? Nathan McKinnon. All right, here we go. We're gonna find it. Find it. Nathan McKinnon. He's probably okay. YouTube debate quickly. Who's better, McKinnon or Crosby right now in their career?
At the moment,
Yes.
Nathan McKinnon.
Daniel.
Yeah, it's my heart says Crosby, but my approach to the game says Nathan McKinnon right now.
I think you never count out Crosby. I think what we're arguing about here is, okay, who's the second and third best player in the game right now?
Yeah,
I think, in my opinion, that's what I'm arguing. I
It's
don't know
gonna
if
go-
you guys have Crosby that high.
it's gonna come down to hockey card collection, I think, to
So-
decide this.
Nathan, this is from the tweet itself came from, I don't know who this guy is, but I just he's a Habs YouTuber. I recognize him. So Nathan McKinnon, and I love the way he phrases this. Arguably the best player in the NHL when asked who is a pain in the ass to play against, quote, Danault, such a good centerman. It's hard to get space on him. I don't know if he's in Selke talks, but he should be. Hopefully he wins one. Good versus everyone, not just me. Okay, so apparently this was asked on Spitting Chicklets, and Bizanet, everyone calls him Biznasty, was the one who asked the question. So I guess Habs fans heard that and thought, let's go, let's regurgitate this. Another reason they should try and re-sign him. The cap hit won't be as big because no one has any money. Try and do it. The Alzner buyout will be much less. Oh,
They
please.
have the money. They have the technology.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. How long?
Oh,
By the way,
sorry. Wait, you cut out.
You froze for a bit, Adam.
Rose.
oh,
So just
sorry,
repeat
my
what you said
internet
again.
connection is unstable. Apparently,
Uh-huh.
we'll see what happens with Dubois before they get to. But he's just so
Don't trade Nick Suzuki.
If Kekalainen's like if the moment he's done saying Nick, you hang up the phone.
Yeah, well,
He has
we
been
all know.
so good.
We all know that's starting. Like, that's what Kekalainen's going to start with. Like, there's no other.
Yeah.
There's no other question.
Ryan Paling.
He wouldn't be
If
doing
you
his
were-
job
yes.
properly.
You should do Paling absolutely 1-for-1. I would do that.
Paul Byron to match up the cap. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, you give us the Dubinsky stuff, and then they figure it out, and it'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
The 1 year of that Alzner buyout is screwing them right now. I think if that buyout wasn't on the thing, I think they were going to get. I think Hoffman would be a Hab right now, because apparently they really wanted to bring him on. I'm like, yeah, but where in the lineup is he playing?
Right.
At this point, I'm like, I'll take
Right.
it, but like, just like
13th forward playing the power play.
why not? Why not? But still, that's gonna be fun. They've been up to a fun start. Really, really fun start. Ben Sherratt gets way too comfortable sometimes and like pinching. I'm like, why are you in the hash mark? What's happening right now?
He just loves. I don't know. This is what I think. Okay, I know this is a very random tangent on Ben Sherratt, but he he just seems more confident and comfortable where he is now than he was in Winnipeg.
He's not that Sherratt anymore. I don't know what happened to him getting to Montreal, but he is a completely different player.
Yeah.
Like in a good way.
Yeah,
It's the beard.
such a good way.
Or chem stats. Making
It's
sure.
amazing to me. He's just
That's something where it's funny. He's become a guy Winnipeg, kind of needs right now. Yeah.
yeah. God,
There's a
they
lot
could use
Winnipeg
Tyler
needs.
Myers. They could use anyone right now.
Anyway.
I'll take him though.
Not Jacob Trouba though.
Not Jacob Trouba. Oh boy. I think that's everything though. So
Is it?
I think that's
I just
everything
want
on
to
the
point out that after a year and a half, the picture is finally up.
Oh yes!
Congrats, Alex. I love it. It's nice. And it's a Reebok jersey too. That's cool.
Is it? Yeah. It's the.
I know Adidas owns Reebok, but it's still cool that Reebok.
well,
You have the
that's
Reebok
all I-
Matthews jersey.
That's all I have to say.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode of the show, be sure to check out the YouTube channel to see our beautiful faces. You can see Will's face when he makes the announcement. He kind of looks like Brendan Gallagher, except Will is like,
Much
Brendan
taller.
Gallagher's shorter than me, and Will is like 6'3". So very different players. I mean, but yeah, Will's the best. I love Will. Good Habs fan.
Happy to be on his team.
Yeah, I was talking to him for like 20 minutes about Carey Price's equipment. There's a video where apparently Price is going to be talking about his mask. I'll send that to Will probably. And yeah, be sure to check out my YouTube channel for videos after every Canadiens game. Check out Alex's blog, Daniel's stuff at the eye opener. Yes,
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sure there's past stuff and now stuff coming up soon.
Mhm. Season 2 of the Eye Opener.
Season 2. If you're on the iTunes, no, it's not iTunes anymore. Crap, why'd they change Apple Podcast? Give us a 5-star rating because you love the show. You can take it back later if you want, but you enjoyed so much you won't. Just follow on wherever you listen to your podcast. We're going to be there. Some sites we didn't even know we were, but we are. Isn't that the miracle of technology of 21st century stuff?
Yeah.
Remember when everyone thought the world was going to end in the year
In
2000?
March?
Boy, where we've come from there. 20 years later. 21.
Oh.
I think that's everything.
Okay.
Thank you, The Voice Said, as
Thanks,
always, for being a
guys.
fantastic platform for the show. And we will see you all Sunday.